Hey guys, this time on Movie Reviews, we're going to be looking at Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep was directed by Mike Flanagan and is based off of the Stephen King novel of the same name, as well as being a sequel to The Shining. It stars Ewan McGregor and Rebecca Ferguson and follows the story of Danny Torrance many years after the events of The Shining. He soon discovers a girl that also possesses the powers of The Shining, and so tries to protect her as there are people that are seeking out her power as well. Guys, this is a film that I was really looking forward to ever since Mike Flanagan's name was attached to this film. Mike Flanagan is one of the best working horror directors today, and he is always compelling in his work. If you haven't seen any of his work, I say please check it out, especially Gerald's Game and The Haunting of Hill House, which is a series he did on Netflix. Both are extremely well done, and he improves and continues his amazing work in this film. Now, upon watching this movie, there is something that I want to talk about that I didn't really say in my Shining review in the month of October. And, okay, I'll just get it out of the way. The Shining is a really good film, guys, and I think I overpraised it just a little bit too much in my review. I gave it originally an 8 out of 10, but honestly, in my heart, it's more of a 7 out of 10, and a lot of that is due to just an emotional disconnect that I have with everything that really happens in that film. I don't really care for any of these characters, and the movie doesn't give me a real reason to. There's no emotional core to that film, and many people might say, well, that's part of the film. However, it's just something that brings the film down for me to make it just not as impactful as it is for some people. And I think The Shining is a great movie, but I also think it's a little overrated and overpraised and has become over-bloated throughout the years, but I think it's still a good movie. And this movie gives me what was lacking in The Shining, which was an emotional connection. I absolutely love every character in this film. They are just fantastically written and incredibly acted. Ewan McGregor gives a fantastic performance as Danny Torrance in this film, showing a person that has so much emotional baggage from both the first film as well as just his drinking problem, and it is very well done in this film. Ewan McGregor gives such a great performance. He's already a great actor, but he is so compelling in this film, and some of the best scenes in this film are with him in a hospital where he is dealing with sick patients that are on their deathbed, and it is beautifully done as he talks to them and, leads them basically to the light. It is absolutely beautiful in this film and just emotionally resonant, and that was something I was not expecting at all in this film. There is such an emotional core to this film, and Ewan McGregor pulls it off flawlessly. Also, the young girl that plays Abra in this film, the young girl, is incredible. This is one of the best young child performances I have seen all year. She is fantastic in this film, and seeing her play off of Ewan McGregor so flawlessly is fantastic. She just gives just as good of a performance as Ewan McGregor does, which is really incredible. And also, Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat, our villain of the film, is so good. So good. One of the best villains I have seen this year in a film. She is so compelling. She is evil. She is vile. And she eats up every scene she is in. She is absolutely incredible. Some of it can maybe be a little over the top, but I think it really works for the character. And she is just a great, sinister villain. On top of all the character work, though, this film is really good with its horror. It's a very different type of horror from, like, The Shining, and that was something that I really appreciated with this film. Its horror is similar in that it's not very jump scare heavy, and it's more elemental. It's more really down and dirty and disturbing, but it is its own brand of horror, and I really like that. I love that Mike Flanagan was not trying to emulate what Stanley Kubrick did in his original film, and he kind of just did his own thing. He did a Mike Flanagan version of this film, which is what he should have done from the start. And it is very well done here. The horror moments are blunt and just incredibly well done and really terrifying. And there's not too much in it because this movie, even though it is classified as a horror film, it is very much, in a way, a science fiction film in a lot of ways, and it's very tonally different from The Shining, which may put some people off. If you're looking for a sequel to The Shining, this really is not it. It doesn't have, like, the same atmosphere of The Shining. It has its own atmosphere. It just continues the story many years later. But it is still just a compelling watch. The cinematography in this film is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the best looking films I have seen this year. The music in the film is also incredibly oppressive and is very similar in a lot of ways to The Shining, trying to mimic that so that it has a little connective tissue with that film. And in a lot of ways, this film does have a lot of connective tissue because Mike Flanagan had the incredible and difficult task of making this film connect to the Shining movie as well as the book. If you don't know anything about Stephen King really does not like Stanley Kubrick's Shining movie, and now it's considered a classic. And so what Mike Flanagan tried to do was make this a sequel to both the book and the movie. And he does this in very interesting ways that might not be for everybody. It might not even please people of the original books, but also it might not please people of the movies as well. It might be very divisive, but I think it is very well done. And there are scenes in this film that Mike Flanagan recreates a couple scenes from The Shining with different actors, of course, that are very, pinpoint perfect casting, looking exactly like the people in The Shining, which is really crazy. And that he was able to do this was really, really awesome. Now, in terms of negatives with this film, really, a lot of these aren't really negatives for me exactly, but maybe negatives for a majority of people. This film is very, very long. It is 2.5 hours, and for some people that might feel too long. Not for me. This movie breezed by. I was never bored for a second in this film. It was always engaging, and it never felt its length, which is crazy, because the movie is longer than The Shining, and it feels shorter than The Shining. The Shining has a very different pace than this film, too, so that might be why, but really, the length for me wasn't a problem, but I can see that being a problem for a lot of people. Also, I can see the third act of this film rubbing people the wrong way. The third act of this film is filled to the brim with fan service. I don't want to really get into it because that goes into spoiler territory, and some people just don't really love fan service, and sometimes in the film it can be a little but still, I think that third act is absolutely fantastic. I think it is a great love letter to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, and I think it's really, really compelling. Especially one scene in a bar room that is so well done. So well done. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice. I better end this review soon. But yes, guys, Dr. Sleep is a very compelling horror film with great acting, great character work, great horror, and just a very compelling story that is just a lot of fun to watch. This is one of the best sequels I have ever seen. It's not going to be for everybody. Some people are just going to say that this is not as good as The Shining because everybody loves The Shining. I mean, I understand to some point, but The Shining I just really can't get into as much. But this film just really won me over from beginning to end. Mike Flanagan has another home run in my book. This is just a very great film and one of my favorites of the year. I'm going to give Dr. Sleep an 8 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to get myself a glass of water because I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. But as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.